Welcome back. President Trump not on the ballot last night, and he's gone out of his way today to let everyone know that he wasn't on the ballot, but clearly he was on the mind of many voters. According to CBS News exit polling, at least 40% of those casting ballots in each of the four most prominent races said he, President Trump, a factor in their vote. The majority of those voters said they opposed him. I'm joined now by Massachusetts Democratic Congressman Jake Auchincloss. He is the chair of Majority Democrats, a new political group focused on helping Democrats win in competitive races. Congressman, good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Before we get to last night's election, there was breaking news today. Someone you know well and admire, Jared Golden, not running for re-election, talking about the toxicity of politics, the threat matrix he and his family have to endure, and kind of throwing in the towel on all that. Your reaction?
Jared, good evening. Major, good evening. Jared is not only a colleague in Congress, he's also a close friend of mine. He's a unique winner in the Democratic Party. I think there's very few Americans who could do what he did in the Maine congressional second during the Trump era. He's going to be sorely missed. I know he wants to spend time with Izzy and his two daughters. They deserve that time with him. I just hope he doesn't fully close the door on future forays into public service, because this country needs him.
What does it say to you when someone like him, who you know well, talks about the vitriol, the danger in American politics? Does it in any way discourage you?
He's speaking truth. He's speaking a plain truth. And this corrosion in our civil discourse is really being exacerbated by the social media corporations. They've become the wealthiest, most powerful corporations in the history of the world, and they're doing it by amplifying all of our worst vices and by turning Americans against one another and by attention fracking our young people. We need bold policy solutions that hold these social media corporations accountable. I call it touch grass populism. We got to bring the pitchforks to the gates of Meta and TikTok and the rest.
Tell me about your thoughts on Virginia and New Jersey, two governors' races there, with what has been popularly described as centrist-type Democrats, Mikey Sherrill in New Jersey, Abigail Spanberger in Virginia, and contrast that with what happened in the New York City mayor's race with Zohran Mamdani.
The lesson for politicians today, Major, is lower prices or perish. Donald Trump came into office. He said he was going to lower prices. He has not. Everything from ground beef to housing has gotten more expensive on his watch. Voters have noticed, and they do not believe his lies about it. Abigail and Mikey and Zohran all shared a relentless focus on affordability. And in particular, Abigail and Mikey, running for governor, talked about solutions across the ideological spectrum to get stuff done. And I know both of those members of Congress, and I can tell you that they have precious little patience for political BS or anything else that will slow them down on delivering for affordability.
What is your assessment, Congressman Auchincloss, of where the nation stands with the now longest in history full-blown government shutdown? It was the longest full-blown government shutdown 2 weeks ago. It's now the longest shutdown of any kind in American history. The Transportation Secretary, Sean Duffy, late this afternoon said there will be cutbacks in flight schedules, possible cancellations triggering through the system starting Friday. When and how does this end?
This ends when Donald Trump and congressional Republicans take responsibility. They have the trifecta. They're in charge of the White House, the Senate, the House. Everything that happens or fails to happen in Washington, D.C. is they're responsible. That means, yes, the higher prices that Americans have experienced, and also this government shutdown. Before this shutdown happened, I led several other majority Democrats in an open letter of negotiation to Speaker Johnson. We laid out a series of ways to get to yes, whether it was reversing the worst of the Medicaid cuts or reversing the COPS grants cuts that have made it harder for local law enforcement to train and recruit new police officers, or giving Congress a vote on the tariffs that have been the biggest tax hike in American history. And it was radio silence. And for the last 7 weeks, the Speaker has refused to even call the House into session so we can do our jobs, negotiate, debate, get to yes on this. I'm ready to fly down tomorrow to do my job, but Republicans have to be willing to do theirs, and they're the ones who hold the gavels.
Any sense when this ends?
This ends when congressional Republicans start caring about their constituents more than they care about Donald Trump's tweets.
Days, weeks, Thanksgiving? What are we talking about?
You're asking me to predict the United States Senate, and careers have washed up on the shoals by trying to do so. I know that we can get to yes, and the reason I know we can get to yes is because I laid out a series of ways that I'm confident a number of Democrats could get to yes. But we need a counterparty. We need interlocutors to actually work with us on policy like we're meant to do. I think we can get there, but it requires Trump to actually work with Congress. For the first 10 months in office, he has marginalized Congress. Speaker Johnson has been complicit in that, and he's turned around and used the middle class as a punching bag. When he actually needed Congress to pass his appropriations, Democrats raised our hand and said, we're not going to fund your government with taxpayer dollars from the middle class when you have levied them the biggest tax hike in American history and the biggest healthcare cut in American history. We are going to stand up for the middle class. They don't have a meme coin or a super PAC or any other way to get in Donald Trump's ear, but they do have the Democratic Party.
Massachusetts Democratic Congressman Jake Auchincloss, I appreciate the time, sir. Thank you.